Recording.
It's your first meeting.
Recording.
Yeah, it's just not like this is his first time sitting.
Oh, yeah? Oh, the house, yeah. Complete rebuild.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta make sure.
Whatever, I'm sweating, but it's hot.
It is hot. If I had my way, it'd be about 60.
Yeah.
The
Kelly
painting
kno-
looks good on
Kelly knows that
the
too.
restaurant.
That's why I have a hoodie in there.
Hopefully that'll
the
be
heater.
able to get it printed.
You don't think,
I didn't know it was gonna be like, something like that.
Yeah, I'm wanting to think maybe that's where the Beaver's Dojo was gonna go. They backed out.
Well, I talked to him, he couldn't get employees.
Oh,
I asked him that one morning.
it's sad.
Yeah, he couldn't get enough employees to do it. He wants to be down here, he said.
Yeah, I wonder how much trouble it is to bring the truck down every week, pack it up.
So it ain't that much.
I think a lot of his orders are pre-ordered anyway, so it's just kind of like delivery.
All right, I'll go ahead and call this work session of the Kingston City Council to order. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand. Mr. Brown will lead us in invocation. Ms. Wright, would you lead us in the pledge of the flag?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. If you don't mind, I'd like to do the prayer just a little bit different this month than we usually do. Today is the 79th anniversary of D-Day. I would ask that we take a moment of silence to recognize all of the brave heroes who died that day and all the veterans who served and that continue to serve, because without them we would not be able to meet here as a body. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have any citizens here that wish to address the council tonight? All right, seeing them, we'll go into our order of business, and it looks like it's a long one tonight. All right, number 4, discussion proposal by water leak relief for leak and line protection insurance. City manager and Mr. Ben Whitson with water leak relief.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a guest here tonight, and I'll give him the opportunity to come up in just a minute to introduce himself and his company. And also, Michelle may want to make some comments. They started this, I guess, going back to a utility conference, TAUD, and I know that some of you mentioned that you've met Mr. Whitson at events as well, but this started back, as you know, we have the serve line coverage. We've had that in place for some time. It's been very successful, I think, and a lot of customers have utilized that policy to help them with leak and line loss. Started talking with Mr. Whitson, and we had a meeting here probably a couple months ago. We met going over their product. It's not that we've had bad service out of Serve-Line. It's just how can we offer something better? And in talking with them, we've identified some areas that we think we could offer better coverage for somewhat savings to the customer, and of course, we're just a pass through on this, and that would remain the same. But a couple things really jumped out at me as being a real potential benefit, the biggest being that we have the possibility to increase the available coverage to $5,000 per year. And I think we've already seen several circumstances where that would have been very beneficial to the customer. So that led us to continue talking about this to the point that we wanted to invite Mr. Whitson to come address the board, again, introduce himself and answer any questions you have. And I think this is something that could very much be worthy of consideration. So with that, Ben, feel free to come up and microphone's yours.
Okay, is this thing on here? Thank you all very much for letting me come down and speak with you all tonight. I do have a packet for those of you all that are not familiar with our product. I know, like you said, it's been over the course of a year or 2 years. I've met quite a few of you all and talked about our program, but I do, if y'all don't care, I'll step up and let y'all just grab one of these. But it's just for you all to have handy.
Thank you.
I know those of you that I've not met may not know a lot about our company, but we are from Crossville, so we're right up the road. And the biggest thing that, like David was talking about, that I wanted to mention tonight, the two things that I heard over the last couple of years talking with folks from Kingston was that you wanted to be provided the best customer service, not just for your customers, but for your office, your staff, and a better product for your customers. And those are the two things that we really worked on a lot, and David even gave me some really good ideas that we're going to try to keep working on and hopefully craft some innovative products going forward for cities in the future. But for now, what we wanted to make sure we can do with that local service is be there when you need us. So when you call Water Leak Relief, you are calling Crossville, and only Crossville. When you call and have an issue, you have my cell phone number right there on top on my business card. Anytime that you need us, I want to be there for you. That's the same thing I extend to all of our customers across the state of Tennessee. With us only serving the state of Tennessee, I also have Miss Maddie Carter here with me tonight. She's a sales rep. The two of us can focus just on one state, not several or many. And with that, we want to be able to provide the best service possible to the city of Kingston. Now, the product was also a big concern, and I think, Mayor Neal, whenever you and I met, if I remember correctly, that was your number one concern. You said, I just want to provide the citizens of Kingston the best product. So we got to talking. I think it was whenever first time I met Kevin and Kelly, Miss Kelly. We got to talking about what can we do different for the city of Kingston. And then when we finally met this last time, it was, what are the options? What can Water Leak Relief do for the city of Kingston? And so we are essentially able to now double your service limit and also offer it twice a year rather than just once. So I believe in the past they've been able to offer you $2,500 once a year. We can offer $5,000 twice a year, and keep your price. It's actually going to go down a few cents. I think from looking at the pricing matrix I was able to provide you there, some of those are going to go down as much as 10 cents per line item. So that's the thing I wanted to make sure and get to you all tonight, is that we want to provide you all great service and an even better product, and open it up to any questions you may have for me.
Go ahead, Mr. Butler.
Just one clarification, the service limit this year, currently what we have, the service limit is $2,500. It would go up to $5,000, and that could be one $5,000 claim. It could be two claims for $2,500. That's correct, sir?
To be perfectly clear with that, so if they had one claim at the beginning of the year and it was $5,000, we would pay $5,000 for that one. They can have another one in the same 12-month period. We'll pay another $5,000.
So it's 10,000.
Okay.
Correct.
So, it's what intrigued me is it's not often that you can offer a better service for the same amount of money. And so that's a real benefit, because, we've had we've been faced with several situations where, and you and I have talked about this, where a customer will come in and they have $2,500 coverage, they have a $4,000 water bill. What do you do?
Still a lot of money.
And, to be able to offer that is better. And I believe, like I said, it's not a huge savings, but it's not going up. The price the customers would pay doesn't increase for more service. So, would you talk just a little bit about who your policy's backed by? I know we went through that. So
yeah, I'm sorry I didn't go into that. So the way ours works is we're backed by Plateau Insurance, which is in Crossville as well. They have been in business for over 40 years, and they do now serve states all over the country, but they are headquartered in Crossville, and from my discussions with them, they will stay in Crossville. They have a great record. with the state of Tennessee as well as any other state they're doing business in. The beauty of doing business with Plateau is whenever, you all may have a question. I think this would probably be more specific to the folks in the utility department. You may have a unique situation where a claim gets denied just because it does not fit the letter of our program. I get that phone call saying, hey, this is one of those that just needs a little, a second look. I have Plateau right there. I call Plateau, we have the discussion, and these are people that I've known pretty much my whole life. So I'm able to have very open, candid discussions with them about, let's take a look at these circumstances, and can we evaluate this on a case-by-case basis and help somebody out that did everything they could do to either eliminate the leak, try to reduce the amount of water that they did lose, and let's help them out. So that's the unique thing about my relationship with Plateau is we work together every day. And so I'm able to help customers that may not have been able to be helped simply because of that relationship we have. And again, it's right there in Crossville.
Mr. Belling, do we have any kind of contract with Servline, or is it month-to-month basis? Month-to-month.
Contract is, the original has expired, yes.
Okay.
And one thing, not to interrupt, I just want to touch on that. One thing that I think could be really beneficial to us, which hasn't been an option with Servline, but Water Leak Relief hasn't said no. They're still working on it. Situation you're familiar with, obviously we discussed last month, had a customer that left us with a very big bill, and now we're going through a legal process to try to recoup that. It's possible that there might actually be an insurance product that would be available to us that would protect us in a case like that if somebody walked off, to where we could reclaim some of that money that we were left with. So
Thank you for mentioning that. That is something that he brought up that we thought was very interesting. The key to that is that we're exploring how we can do that is, we do have to make money, and so the loss would still be, you'd still be incurring some loss with that. Once we get to where we feel like we've got a product that we can really put out there to Kingston or other cities, you may incur some loss with that, but we want to at least be a reduced loss, so you're not losing thousands of dollars at a time. So, but again, that is something that's only in the works, and I cannot commit to it at this point in time, but we certainly do want to help out with that. And I have to admit, that was his idea. I didn't come up with that, so we're working on it to see, because I have been asked before.
Yeah, because it's still a water loss because of a leak, so.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, sir.
So if they have a water leak and it's a pretty good size amount, do they pay the contractor out of their pocket, or how does that work with y'all?
There are two products we offer, and I think you already have both leak and line protection.
Yes.
So if it is just a leak and they are only enrolled in the leak portion of the program, we are only helping out with the bill.
Okay.
They would repair the leak on their own.
And then they'll pay the contractor?
Correct.
And then you'll reimburse them?
Not on the leak portion. So I try
Not
to
on the
explain
repair,
this
but
to-
on the leak.
Right.
And I think what he's asking about is not so much the leak
The line
protection as
portion.
much the line protection.
Yeah.
So with line protection, large leak, line's broken, they repaired that. That is exactly what we would be reimbursing them for those expenses.
So as a contractor, should we fix the leak, or should we replace the whole line, or you
So
see what I'm saying?
That's
Because
a big discussion that we have every
Yeah.
time. That's why we want licensed plumbers to do those repairs. If they come to us and said, that line is shot, need to replace the whole thing, it's in my best interest to go ahead and fix that whole line.
Yeah.
Now, again, that is not the letter of the law with our program. It is to repair and replace the damage. Once that's repaired, but if a licensed plumber tells me, Ben, you're making a better business decision to go ahead and fix this, I have paid to have hundreds of feet of line replaced.
Because I know a lot of them right now, I think, will tell you to replace, or to fix the leak first, and then the second time they will replace it. So.
We want to fix it the first time. We don't want a second leak.
Yeah.
Did you have a question, sir?
So I'm clear on this. So from my side of the meter, all the way to my faucets, if I have a leak, of course, obviously, when we're talking about it's not being caught, and it run up a big water bill. If I'm covered on both sides, the water bill and the line, then I'm pretty much covered all the way around on a bad water leak. Is that
So
The way I'm getting this.
the line portion of the program where the repairs are actually covered
Right.
is just from the meter to where the line enters your home. So
Okay.
think of the wall where
Okay.
your main line goes in. That's where that
Okay,
coverage
that's clear.
stops. There is also sewer line coverage, so once it exits the back of the house and goes to wherever it returns to the city sewer,
Okay.
that's an optional program as well.
Okay, that's
So
clear.
the leak portion, when that water bill goes up though, it can happen anywhere.
Right.
In the line, in the house, that's a cover, but that is just relating to the water bill and it going up above their average.
That's excellent.
And then you just do it twice a year, right?
Yes, sir.
Because a lot of times you'll get somebody that their water bill went up a little bit, and you try to tell them that don't claim it this time because the next time it may be really high.
Yep. That's the idea of doing 2 a year, is
Yeah.
to help take care of both of those.
Mr. Brown?
I'm assuming like the other one, that when we're talking sewer leaks, that you don't cover anything with septic tanks. It's all gotta be
Correct.
connected to the city
Yes, sir.
utility. And then my next question is down at the bottom, I'm assuming that the three little asterisks, where it says residential master meter multi-hab pricing, over here we've got $2.50 per unit and then $5. So you're saying we've got, I can think of 2 apartments that have 8
Right.
places in it, so your total for that building would be $11.25.
Yes, sir.
All right, we've got one that we found out about that's got 20 on one.
Yep. They're
So-
getting a great value with this.
Yeah, so they've really got a deal then at
Yes, sir.
$11.25. They ought to be the first ones in line knocking on
That's
the
right.
door.
And the funny thing about it is, a lot of times those are the ones that call us and decide they don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
blows my mind. But
Yeah.
you're right, they're covered for $11.25.
I have nothing.
Go ahead and add it to the water board agenda for Tuesday night.
And I guess my only thing, if we're planning on voting on this, have we given the Servline an opportunity to know about this, and that we're shopping and we found twice as good value and?
I have not
I have
talked
not
to,
reached out to them
but
myself.
I don't talk to them directly.
Well, don't quote me on this, I would have to check this out, but I do think
That one of
that
them-
we have talked to them to see if we could get some comparison to prices of what the water leak relief has offered us, and I don't think that they could compete. But don't quote me
And-
on that, but I do think.
And I know that I've also, I take that back, I don't deal with them on a monthly basis, but we have asked them in the past about the possibility of increasing our coverage limit from $2,500 to $5,000, and that has not been an option, so.
And, you know, we just, not long ago, they let us put on commercial, not long ago. So then if we were to change, when would what would the transition period be?
That's a great question. It's as fast as you all want to make it happen, but we do, a policy of our own, we want to send out a flyer, which you'll see in that packet, to your customers, just letting them know that we are their new service and how they can reach us and what our terms and conditions are. So that is the only thing that we do, like to get that out at least 30 days before they see our name on their bill. So whenever you decided to start that,
So you're looking 1st of August.
right.
Put it in the July bill, because we told him we
And there
could
will
put it in
be
our
no-
insert.
So then on the backside for staff, we need to see when the cutoff date is for the present people, especially if they've got a claim that's in transition.
Yep.
You know, like, I don't do them anymore, bang, you're on your own. I don't know if they'd say that,
So
wouldn't
far,
think so, but.
100% of the time, when we have transitioned someone from Servline, our start date is their last date that they will pay. We've worked that out to where, we try to get our notice out 30 days because that's also when Servline has to be notified. And so that transition happens where they roll off as we start. And since you have, Servline already, we do not require a 30-day waiting period. So as soon as we show up on that first bill, we're covering that bill.
And you know, Mr. Mayor, and guys, I know that a lot of times our customers out here think we don't do a good job, but you've got to remember that we were the second one in the county to do this, that nobody had this. There was very few companies, and we learned about it in a utility dinner, and Watts Bar Utility was the only ones that had it. And now then, if you watch those old TV stations like I do, where they try to get gray-haired people to send their money in, there's companies everywhere that are doing the same thing where you didn't even hear about it
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Right.
So all the people that I've talked to that have had to utilize service line, and I'm sure your company too.
Kelly, do you have anything?
It's been a great thing for them. It's just like having insurance on your car and everything
Sir.
else. And if they just take advantage of it, and like Councilman said over here, if they play the system and don't use it for $150 leak and save it for that $3,000 leak. But I'm really impressed that we can get up and I hope that's in our contract, so we don't misunderstand that it's really 10,000 instead of 5 if you do it on 2 different deals.
It should be 5,000 per claim.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the agreement does spell that out.
And Mr. Mayor, I think if me and Michelle was just speaking, it normally takes Service about 2 months to pay off on those claims from start to finish. Us receiving our money.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's at least 30 days before a turnaround, but sometimes it's still a little longer, and that's a lot, just depending on.
Ben, what's your average turnaround on the claim?
If it goes smoothly, from the time the claim is filed to the check being issued should be about 2 business days. And that's, goes back to Plateau being right there in Crossville with us. I mean, we can coordinate that. Now, there is some, the same things that Serviline's asking from your staff right now, that we will ask those same things as far as the average, so we can calculate that. So there's some responsiveness that has to happen there for that 2 days to consistently happen. But all of our utilities so far, once the email goes to them, there's somebody answering that and getting that right back to them. The very next day, we're able to stamp it paid and send a check.
you know,
And we have different ways of doing that.
Since we've
as well.
had this, it's what, a $90,000 a year savings probably, because the people didn't pay it at all. And now then we're getting it, even if it takes us 2 months or 3 months to get our money, we know that we're getting that and it's not a loss like it used to be.
No, we can't hardly get in touch with them. We're usually having
It's
to
all
contact them
email.
through email, because they're not as easily accessible as they used to be. And we only get 2 submissions of payments a month, on the 1st and on the 15th. So they just hold off and pay us a lump sum.
We can do
But
that
still-
however you all wish. Whatever works best for the staff, we can pay it in however many claims per month. We can send a check every time, or send a ACH transaction. We can do it once a month. Whatever works best for the city, we're capable of fitting that customizable plan.
Get the customer to realize is that if they gotta pay the contractor, then they're gonna get reimbursed. Because usually they don't wanna pay you, they go say, well, they're gonna pay you.
And we work with them, if there is a customer in, let's just say unfortunate circumstances, and they have a $5,000 line repair, they don't have $5,000. Once we know that it's gonna be approved, we can say, yes, this is approved, contractor complete the work, we'll pay you directly. We've done that many times.
Swimming pools included?
No, sir.
We'll talk about that
I'm
at a
getting ready
different
to pay
time.
my swimming
Yeah.
pool bill.
The reason I asked that, my neighbor has got a leak.
Oh, in his pool?
In the pool, brand new pool, hadn't swam in it yet. Got a leak, and got the leak detection people coming next week.
Mm.
And it's been running for 2 weeks because her pool people told her that they needed to keep it above the skimmer. She's having trouble doing that, so she's fixing to have a big water bill.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them, but we don't cover that.
Good, okay, just wanna make sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Item 5 is discussion of cybersecurity and IT management service. Mr. Bowling, Ms. Jackson, Mr. Taylor.
So this has been another ongoing conversation that we've had, and as you all read the local headlines of our city up the road, Oak Ridge, it's had some problems. It's certainly amplified that, but we're very aware that cybersecurity is an essential tool in this day and age, and we've been taking a real deep dive into what protections we have, what are our vulnerabilities, how do we address those. And those conversations have taken us in a couple different directions, but at the end of the day, our goal is to make sure that this city is as protected as we can possibly be. And that led most recently to a conversation just a couple of days ago that Kelly and I had with Brad Taylor, and I wanted to have him here tonight because he can certainly explain that from a 10,000-foot view better than I can. And we know, as I was telling a couple of you earlier, we currently have kind of a piecemeal arrangement. We have one company that does this, we have another that does that, and that's not the ideal way to do it. And so our end-game goal is really twofold. We want to get our IT management services under one umbrella, and we also want to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to best protect this city. So we're looking at it from two points of view. And before we get too deep, again, I wanted to have Brad come here, give you an overview of what we're talking about, so I can kind of gauge what council's interest is in this. And you know, if it's not something that you want to pursue, that you see value in, then we don't want to waste other people's time in pursuing some of the things that we're looking at. Again, we are looking at this from 2 points of view. But Brad, do you want to come up and just kind of tell them where our conversations have been and sort of what some ideas that you shared with us?
Yes, sir. So thanks for allowing me to come in this evening. Kind of to break down what David's talking about, there's several different what we call building blocks that we look at as to how we attack any situation. So recently, Glenn's here, we just completed a complete transition for Roane County government. So in that transition, we were able to take them away from coax services, different internet service providers, and we put them under one single umbrella, and we put dedicated fiber to 10 of their locations. Brought that all back to the Roane County Courthouse, put a large firewall in. And so what we do with that is, that's called a switched Ethernet network. And so what we do with that is, we bring all of that data in there, and then the courthouse becomes the control point. That way we don't have individual people making decisions on their own at individual locations. So the way it works today is, we kind of have a hierarchy, if you want to think of it. If a site says, well, I need to get to this particular website, and I can't get there, they have to put a ticket in with Ken Clinton. Ken looks at that and says, well, let's talk about why you need that. And so if it's determined they really do, then Ken can approve it. We'll update the firewalls and we'll allow access to that website. But if Ken has a question about it or wants to scrutinize it, Ken comes to Joe and I, and we take a look at that and go, we don't want to do that, and here's why. And so what we do with it is we literally peel that layer of that website back, figure out where it's at, what country is it in, what's the real intent behind it, and make sure there's nothing nefarious going on. And so what we do is we look at our firewall logs, and we can turn around and tell by that firewall log exactly where it is, and we then do a threat assessment on it and say, this right here has a known threat. And so we just block it completely. If Ken can't approve it, it steps up to Lynn. If Lynn can't approve it, it steps up to Wade Cresswell. And if Wade says do it or don't do it, that's the end. That's it, we stop. So it's really all about good governance. You know, I'll say this, Kingston has been the most proactive city government anywhere around us by stepping up and doing things. And we've done it over, how many years, Kelly? 4 years now? But we've methodically been working on this and working on it for the last 4 years to be able to continue to improve the overall security, be it email security, web security, phishing, ransomware, spyware, antivirus, malware. So we've been doing it for quite some time to get ourselves prepared for this. And so one of the things that we are going to be doing is we're going to be migrating to a new Microsoft for Outlook for email. That'll also give us access to our Word documents, PowerPoint, Excel, and all the other Microsoft products. By doing that, we put it again in one umbrella, and we're going to use something that's a little technical, but it's basically Microsoft then becomes a gatekeeper out there. And so what it does is it actually looks at the email, scans it for threats and assessment, and assesses it. If it sees any of those, then it flags it, sends it to us, and it doesn't infect that computer at the end user. So we now have then, once we get that implemented, in fact, Roane County government, we're getting ready to do theirs, it finishes Friday. So we'll migrate about 240 email accounts Friday. So that's a major undertaking. Kingston's not quite as big, but it's the exact same process. The beauty of that is, and then we have two different threat assessments. We have one on Microsoft that's doing it from a corporate level, a big corporate level. And then we turn around and have firewalls. Well, again, this is again the beauty of where Kingston was smart enough, and we we look at everything like an elephant, so we kind of eat it a bite at a time. So as we were able to, we've gone out and put in WatchGuard smaller firewalls at our remote locations. That's already in, that's already completed. So the beauty of this is now we've got it down to where we've got Microsoft protecting us from the email. We then have a network with WatchGuard firewalls in place that connects to all of our network connection. That protects us. Then we go all the way down to the desktop, and that's where all of our security suites runs on the desktop. So that is the best you can get. Rockwood's trying to get there. Harriman love them. They're not going to get there. So it's just the way it is. But again, Roane County government was very instrumental in helping kind of lead this for us to allow how to shape that product and make it work for any of the county governments. So with that said, the last part of it is then we've been taking a look at and talking a lot about security cameras. And I know you all have talked about them a bunch, and so it's a very, very sensitive topic, and about the need for security cameras. Again, Kingston was very smart, stepped forward and said, we want to go to what's called a video server. So in the old days, what you used to do is you'd go down to the bathrooms down beside the boat docks, and you'd put in a 4 or 8 channel video recorder, and you'd hang 3 or 4 or 5, 6 cheap coax cameras, and somebody would call and say there's been an event there and we need that video footage. The police would go down there and sit, and somebody would literally go down there and sit for hours rifling through looking for it. Not productive. And in most cases, the quality of the cameras was so poor that the video footage, if you did get it, you couldn't do anything with it, couldn't prosecute with it. So again, Kingston stepped up and said, what do we do to fix that long-term going forward? And so about 3 months ago, we installed a very large, what we call a video server. So if you can think of it, it's just a very large computer that's extremely powerful, that has a huge amount of storage, and it's located right over here in your data closet. And when we did that, what it then does is it allows us to put what we call IP, or Internet Protocol Ethernet cameras. Anywhere we put a camera, it backhauls that data right here to the City Hall. And at that point, then we can turn around and make it available to department heads. So if Kevin says, I need cameras at XYZ, I need cameras at a water tank, we can put cameras in, backhaul the video here, and we can turn around and set Kevin up as the person that needs access to that. And if you say there's somebody else that needs access, then we can set them up. So the video server, what it does is gives us the capability of being very granular in setting up what we call access and permissions to the sites that they need. And then, of course, the police would have access to everything. They'd have access to all the public cameras, water towers, they'd have all of those, but they'd also have the capability not only of viewing them in their office, but we then can put them on the laptops in their patrol cars. So if there's an incident that's reported at Kingston City Park, they don't have to fly over there at 300 miles an hour to try to get there to figure out what it is. They literally stop, click one button, click a camera, pull it up, look at it, and actually at that point when they're looking at it, they can actually hit one button and take a still photo and click it right there, and they know what they're looking for. Now they're already en route. There's radio communications, which are a whole lot faster than driving in vehicles and all the other things. So it gives them a way then to be very proactive about responding to incidents instead of reactive. Because what do? We always get there and everybody wanders around going, boy, I wish we had some video cameras because we could see what happened. City of Rockwood just had an incident Wednesday, exactly that, or Monday, excuse me, just the exact same situation at Tom Fuller Park. So anyway, we got that part going. Again, Kingston stepped up. They did that. They're in the progress. Now where we're at. The last point of where we're at is the data transport. So in other words, the internet connections that go to these sites. All the sites in the city of Kingston are all on coax, with the exception of this building, which is on an AT&T 150 meg in and 150 meg out fiber optic connection. Best you can get, most reliable. We never have, knock on wood, we never have an outage here. We got a large UPS battery backup in the server room over here that will run this building for almost 8 hours if the power does go down, like it did 2 weeks ago. I think on a Sunday night, power went out all over the Kingston. The video server, the internet, and all of that was still up here. So, but where we're at right now, though, is with these Comcast coax connections, they're not what we call symmetrical. So in other words, you may have a 100 meg internet connection. That's typically your download speed. And so your upload speed is either going to be 10, 25, or 50. That's it on coax. So depending on the site and the location, I'm going to use community centers is the exact example we're talking about. We've got cameras now at the city park that backhaul across what's called an air bridge, so we didn't have to go buy internet over there. They come across an air bridge to the community center, they come to the video server. We've also got the boat slips that have cameras. They come now to the community center, come back over here to the video server. If we were gonna put cameras at the gravel pit, if we were gonna put any cameras around the outside of the community center, or even some on the inside, our problem is, if you think about it, it doesn't matter how fast the incoming internet is, because that's when you send a request and ask for something. But when you're sending video footage, you're going out the small side of what we call the small side of the pipe. So that's the 10, 25, or 50 meg. And the problem with that is the more camera traffic you backhaul out of a site, the more it cripples that site. So in essence, what happened is we put all those cameras in, and the community center the next day said, oh crap, our phones don't work good. It's like, well, because your phones are internet based. And the reason is because there's too much camera being backhauled out of there. So what do we do to fix that? So there's a couple of products out there. The one that I'm gonna talk about tonight real quick is, it's called a switched Ethernet network. I actually got a diagram of it.
You understand anything he's talking about? I don't.
So most kids that grew up that didn't do well in school, we couldn't read, but we could look at pictures. Yeah, I'm one of those. You know, we couldn't read very well, but we could look at the pictures and figure it out from there. So the way it works is, if you think about it, City Hall right here is in the very dead center. So we call that the hub, and of course it is because it's got the video server, and that's where city services, all the functionality, that's where our main server for all of the water and sewer and everything else is located here. So that's gotta be the hub. Well, what this product does is it turns around and has what we call either an EDI or an ADI, but it's basically dedicated internet. It goes out to the internet and comes back to this building. But what we do then is we take a look at putting fiber optic out to these remote sites. So that could be street department, Southwest Point, community center, and if the library decided they wanted to play with us, we could do even that. But at that point, when we start putting these fiber links out here, what that does is all of their internet for, let's say, community center, all the internet for the community center has to come to City Hall, has to ask the firewall for permission to be able to gain access to it, go out to the internet, come back and deliver it back to City Hall. So now what we've done, or back to community center, so now what we've done is we've completely isolated these places out here from any internet threat, because nobody can reach them via, quote, the internet, because the only internet that shows up is right here at City Hall. So the beauty of that is it does a couple of things. It not only strengthens us dramatically on our security, because now we're not worried about vulnerability of somebody getting to a computer at one of these locations and hacking into it, because they have to come through the gatekeeper. So that's almost impossible. The other thing it does, though, with these fiber services is they're all symmetrical. So in other words, if I took, I'll take street department, because this one's an easy one. Take street department and I put a 100 meg fiber connection out there, so it's 100 in, but it's 100 out. So now I'm symmetrical. So again, Kingston marvels me at the fact that instead of just sitting around and waiting and go, okay, well, it's an elephant, we can't do that, so give me, one bite. We talk about these things constantly, and so we find a little dollar here, a little dollar there. So recently, Marcia and the water guys and sewer guys, we all worked together, found a little bit of money, and we went and put some private fiber to the sewer plant to water distribution. So if we were to put fiber here to street department, instead of paying for 3 different internet connections, we'd only have 1. And then again, we've got then our ultimate security, but now I can bring all of the cameras for sewer, water distribution, and street. I can bring them across the fiber, land them on the video server, and now they're available to whoever needs them. So if it's Kevin and his crew, sewer, especially police, it allows them to be dropped right here. That gives access to those.
Those cameras would no longer be a security risk.
Now, and that's the other part of it. Good point. A camera is no different than any other device that's sitting out there on a network. It's IP, Internet Protocol based. It's as easy to get hacked into as anything else. In fact, quite a bit, even more so, simply because nobody really looks at the quote security on the cameras. They just put a camera in, it works, and okay. that's one of the largest areas that we find as far as vulnerability is where people are going in and they're looking for echo dots, they're looking for all of those type things, they're looking for cameras, ring doorbells, those things. Because if they can get in and find that IP address, they can hack into your network. And once they do, they can rummage around for months and you not even know it until they come up and say, by the way, we've got all your data and we'd like $1.5 million to be able to give it back to you. And they're pretty clever about that too. Ransomware, I don't know if you know exactly how it works, but I'll give you a 2-second version of it. Stephanie's got some data. I go in and I take her data and I clone all her data. But when I do it, I go in, so she's got a file that says Taylor 2023. I go in and I take that same data and I change the name to Taylor 2023 with an exclamation mark. Yet she doesn't know that. So that's how I glean all of her data. I own it now, and I can tell her I need X number of dollars for you to pay me to get your data back, or you don't get it. So they're very clever about it. The name looks the same, and you go, that's the name, that's the password I've always used. Now my password doesn't work. So that's when you find out if you've been hit with ransomware. So a couple of the other things it does for us is, and again, it's an elephant. So we're not going to go out and do every site at once, but like David and Kelly and I talked the other day, I think it's prudent that we get started on a plan that gives us the ability to kind of start building this out. And it may be a 2-year plan, it may be a 3-year plan. We talked with Kevin 3 or 4 months ago, and we talked about what some of the things that we need in the water side and in the sewer side. Well, we don't have cameras in any of our towers. We don't have any cameras at our lift pumps, lift stations, or anything else. How many man hours can I save by looking at a camera at a site instead of driving somebody there? Because if I can instantly pull it up, look at a camera, I know what's going on there. That's just one example. David brought up the other day, ultimately we would like to probably put some security cameras along the walking trail because we have had incidents where people are accosted on the trail and some other things. So, could have put some cameras across through there. We've got an amphitheater setting out here. Over here. So we got an amphitheater. Great place for the public, great place for all of that, but it's extremely vulnerable because there's no eyes. So, again, I always say the security cameras are there to catch people doing things right, but they're also there in the event to catch them when they're doing things wrong. So it's one of those things that we just got to take a look at and how do we build that out. Real quick, so if we went to Fort Southwest Point and put a fiber connection in there, we would then come back and work with David and Kelly and Tim, the street department, and we may end up looking at putting a private fiber over to Fort Southwest Point. So then we can put some cameras at the ball field and around the sports complex over there. Kevin stepped up the other day and we were working on we've got a new fiber connection built for water distribution. David brought up the point, well, if we've got them set up on fiber, can we come out of the back of water distribution and put cameras on the walking trail and the track? Yeah, we can. So again, we've been doing some things that kind of get us there. It's just that we kind of run into a little bit of roadblock on some of these sites that have very small bandwidths to be able to continue forward.
Mr. Bowling.
And I bring this up, not that we're looking for a decision right now because we're not ready for that. We're still putting information together. My interest in this is going into the core of my job, which is to protect this city, and whether that be to protect it financially, to protect it with information technology, to make sure we have enough police on the road. This is a component of that. And like I said, we looked at this from 2 standpoints. We have 3 vendors that we use for our IT services. We're looking to combine those. And we sat down with one company doing our due diligence, and this company gave us a very lengthy proposal, a very expensive proposal. And then we sat down with one of our current providers, and we realized that we have a lot of the things already that they proposed that we get. So we are looking at doing that, and we think that combining those under one provider will pretty much be a wash. So, we're already budgeting for that. It's going to make it easier from our standpoint, only dealing with one vendor, and ultimately, I think, give us better service. There are some things, as Brad's talked about, above and beyond that we think we could do, as he said, in phases to better protect our network. And so we're not in a situation like Oak Ridge and other places have seen. There's nothing you can do to give you 100% protection, but we want to shoot as high as we can. So we want to look a little deeper into that. What I'd like to do, and I think this would at least indicate your interest, if you'd like to put this on next month's workshop agenda, that would give us time to put together some more information in a formal manner that we could show you guys and come back and hopefully have some real numbers to look at and give you something to chew on. This is nothing we're going to do. The IT side aside, this type of thing's going to take time. And like Brad said, you know, it is an elephant. But you got to start somewhere, and that's what we want to do. So if you're good with it, I'd like to ask it to be put on next month's workshop agenda. But that's
I mean,
the direction of council.
you wanted us to propose to add $100,000 to the budget this year. Do you think that's necessary, or is it?
We're not to that point yet.
Okay.
You know, I would like to. You know, we are going to incur some more cost if we do some of the things we want to do. We also have costs that are going to fall off. You know, for example, each one of our locations has internet service. That's not cheap. If we make this one network, eventually all those will fall off. So there will be some savings too. I just don't know how those completely offset. So we're not ready for that conversation yet, but I would like to at least keep working on it.
Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah, we can talk about it next month. That'd be good.
Yeah, and the other thing to David's point is that we're doing too there, because I know you all are sitting there thinking, well, do you just only have, is it a one-trick pony? That's not. We're actually getting 3 different quotes from 3 different companies for fiber. For one of those would be Comcast, one of them would be AT&T, and then AT&T does a wholesale arm out to a company called Nitel. And so Nitel basically just goes out and buys services, the fiber connections, be it from AT&T, Comcast, whoever they need to be able to put a cobble it together, if you want to call it that. So we'll actually get 3 of those. Kelly's got 1 already. I just got rates back on the second one today, and so within a few days here, we'll get the third one back. And then what Kelly and I'll do is sit down and do a side-by-side comparison. In other words, I'll take his side. He's paying $85 for ADSL. His new 100 meg fiber, 100 in, 100 out, he's going to pay Y, and so we'll know what that delta is that drops off.
Can I just add something? I
Yes.
know all this is foreign to a lot of us.
Yeah.
But I will say the internet is not going to go away. Hackers are going to get more and more sophisticated. If these hackers can hold the city of Knoxville hostage for $270,000, and then Lord knows what all they did to the city of Oak Ridge, it can certainly happen to us. I certainly don't want our citizens and our taxpayers and our bill payers for their payment information to be hacked. So this is a very serious thing, and I know it comes with a big price tag, but it's very, very important.
Yeah, I would expand to this, and you're exactly right. We just got a memo from Homeland Security the other day talking about vulnerabilities to water treatment plants. A lot of those operations are becoming more and more automated.
Plugging in your iPhone.
Yeah. Yep. So, you know, we have to be conscious of all that. And it's a rapidly changing world, and we're just trying to stay caught up as best we can. So.
Well,
Right.
again, the good thing is I'll take Kelly, for instance, and both Kellys, and Marcia. You've got a server here, and that server is, well, for the folks that were here, that server is huge because, like you said, it's got client information, it's got their address, it's got that, and in a lot of cases, it's got their payment information. If they get in and hack it, we're in trouble. I mean, we're sunk. But what they came to us and said is, we've got a contract with local government, we've had it for a long time, but we're not really happy with their service, but they have a software product that we really need to use. So in part of this next phase of transitioning, we're going to transition that server over to our support. And by doing that, that gives us the capability of adding a much heightened security onto that server. And so we'll be responsible for that, monitoring it 24/7, 365. Then we'll still use them just for that sole purpose of the actual software. The other thing Rome County government did, their accounting department needed a new server. Same thing as yours. And they got a quote from local government, and our quote was half of what local government was. So I think the girls can tell you we've been utilizing some things to be able to do some savings, and have saved You know, every time we put in a computer for the city of Kingston, we save at least 50% over what local government used to charge us.
Just like the serve line discussion,
It is,
it's always
exactly.
good to work with, companies that are within our state, sometimes within our county. It's just better for customer service, so, that's it.
Anything, anybody else? No, we'll talk about it again in July.
Okay, I'll bring you more information.
Okay, that'd be good. All right.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, our next one on the agenda is discussion of proposed contract between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and City of Kingston for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Bowling, this is our annual.
This is our annual
Contract.
TDOT reimbursement contract. There is no change over last year's contract, so we bring that to you for your approval.
Okay, so we'll add that to the agenda for Tuesday. Now, Mr. Bowling, you said you wanted to add 7, 8, and 9, talk about them all at once, and there are different resolutions for matching grant programs. I'll let you go ahead and explain those.
Correct. These are three, those of you that have been around a bit will recognize these are three grants through public entity partners that we apply for every year. They'll reimburse up to a certain percent for expenditures that we make that qualify for those programs, whether it be driver safety, property conservation, or overall safety initiatives. Basically, this is money we're spending anyway, and through these grants, we can recoup some of that money. So we, like I said, we apply for them every year. It's time to get those authorizations again. I can certainly answer any questions you have, but that's it in a nutshell. So
Does anyone have any questions on the three grants?
we just like to get money back. So
If we can. All right. Item 10 is discussion to authorize the city manager to write off a utility account in the amount of $252 due to a death, no estate. We don't write stuff off very often, but
this is uncollectible. It's been brought to our attention that it is. Again, death of customer, no estate. There's nothing that we can collect on this. We just need authorization to write it off. So.
anyone have any questions on that one? If not, we'll add it to the water board agenda. Item 11, discussion for request to close Court Street and portions of Cumberland and 3rd Street on July 1st for a car show. So we're having a July 4th car show on July 1st?
Well, as you know, a couple years ago, we decided as part of our efforts to streamline our 4th of July event to separate the Smoke in the Water event from the car show. And that, sometimes you can have too much going on at one time, and I think that was the case. So we've been doing this for a couple of years, and it's worked out, I think, really well for everyone involved. This year, for the last couple of years, they've done it at the high school in the parking lot. They'd like to move it up to the old courthouse, and Chief Washington can speak on this as well. There would be required basically the same street closures we're used to. I know that we have one of our reserve officers is directly involved with the car show. I believe he's going to be in uniform on duty that day, so we'll have him there. The car show folks have also offered to help with any setting up barricades or anything else like this. So it's their show. It's not a city show, so we need to bring this to you for your approval, but we recommend it if you're good with it. So.
Okay.
We've talked to some of the residents around, some businesses, and asked if they would come out and open up. It's so hot down at the high school parking lot,
Mm.
miserable. We thought that way you could be in the grass around the old courthouse and maybe it'd help the parking,
Yeah.
the town out. Maybe they go Baggett's, use my cream, or the Sonic. Hopefully Jason Taylor's wife will open up, maybe she can sell some stuff. Just
Okay.
something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I was confused by the letter because it's almost like it was given the impression that we still wouldn't set up these road closures for city events, and so that's not the case. Whenever it's a city event, we will take care of the closing of the roads, but this one specifically is not a city event, which is why it needs the separate,
The city still, we still donate money to the city, or are they not still a little part of it, or?
Yeah, I mean there's a connection there, but it's independent of our activities.
Right, so like if it's a 4th of July show, spring and fall festivals, that still runs through Parks and Rec, that still is a
Correct.
city event.
Correct.
Okay.
That's exclusively a city event. This is something
Okay.
that the car show group puts on, and it's it's a win-win for everybody.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
absolutely.
I think the last few years that we've been doing this way has been the best
Yeah.
that we've ever had.
I
for the
just didn't
Fourth.
want a citizen to have it.
Yeah, I keep forgetting you're a car guy, so.
I just didn't want a citizen to be under the impression that we still won't do those things when it's an event
Yeah, correct.
for them.
No,
when they're-
if it were a city event, we wouldn't have to come asking
thank
to have
you.
the roads closed.
No.
My question is always, let's make sure we talk to those businesses down there that they know that, just in case they've got something scheduled because it's a holiday, so.
We're gonna meet, I think, that Monday before, or before that weekend, and go around, and we should be able to talk to people
I
and
just
kinda
always
look
worry
and
about
see what.
utility people getting to the
Yeah.
drive-through to pay their bills and all that kind of stuff, you know. Thank you, Mercy.
Chief, anything you wanna add to that?
No, sir, we close it much anymore.
All right. Item 12, discussion to fill one of 3 vacancies on the Park and Rec Commission for the 4-year term ending June 30th, 2027. Ms. Jackson?
We have 3 vacancies that are coming up. I've sent out emails requesting if any of those 3 would still be willing to serve another term, and I've heard from one, Ms. Townsend, that she wants to serve another term if she could. Ms. Ward did not want to serve again, and I have not heard anything from Ms. Collins after 2 attempts.
Have we put this on the website for anyone to, has anyone in the past still, put in an application before, like we looked
I
at
can look. I
before?
don't think we have another one. The last one we did,
Was-
Ms. Hedrick.
Yeah, well, I thought the last one was Ward, because I remember just appointing her not long ago.
Yeah. But she didn't want to serve again. So.
Again, just a reminder that the Collins is really 2 boards, so if she goes off, we've got to look again. I don't know how many of you heard what I was talking about before the meeting, that Ms. Collins is the representative for the Fort people. She's also the appointed representative for the beautification committee, that our ordinance on it says that somebody has to be on the board of the Park
The
and Rec
Park and
to
Rec,
serve
yeah.
on the beautification, and that's her, so. Just so everybody knows that if she doesn't want it, or we don't reappoint her, that we've got more appointments to make.
Okay.
Sometime or another.
Okay, so we'll add what we can so far to the agenda for Tuesday night, and unless some things change between now and then. Okay. 13 is discussion of first reading of ordinance 2306-0301, ordinance adopting and enacting the comprehensive codification and revision of the municipal code of the city of Kingston. That's you again, Ms. Jackson.
This has been like a 4-year process, it feels like. And I think we've got the final revision. I sent you all a separate email with the May revision, and I think we've got everything changed in there. And I've sent you a summary at the end of it to kind of highlight what has been changed throughout the years.
Yeah.
And I think we're ready for the first reading if you all approve.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Bowling.
I just want to commend the city clerk. She's done an amazing job navigating this, compounded by the fact that we transitioned city attorneys right in the middle of it. It has been a nightmare, but Kelly's done a great job in getting us to this point. And, we'll have a little bit of a process to go through to get it adopted, but this will get us caught up, and we won't have to think about this again for a little while. So,
10 years, to be exact.
Mr. Mayor, just always get on my high horse. This is one of the most important documents. This is what governs what we do with the city. Please take the time to read every bit of it and make your notes before our second and final reading. It's going to be hard to come back and jerk knee a decision 3 months from now when we pass this. I've not finished reading it, but she's done a great job on what I've read so far. And the first part I went to was the planning commission, and it's been changed in this that we talked about the members and when they expire and all that kind of stuff, something that we've already done. So I hadn't got to the police department yet, and my question the last time was to make sure that this new one, unless it's, and I haven't read it all yet, was that in the last one we were doing away with the auxiliary police reserve unit because it wasn't in there. If you don't have, it's in there now, But again, I hope that we've taken care of that too, and I met with Sandy and told him my concerns with that when he was here, so hopefully it's, I'm not, like I say, I'm just not read it all yet, but I will before the first reading.
Anyone else have anything on it? Okay. The next two are ordinances about the second reading of amending the annual budget for the city of Kingston and the water department. I'll let Ms. Kelly talk about that one.
I highlighted for you the changes, and of course, being the last budget amendment of the year, I had several, and I wrote them all out in the memo, but I'll go over a few things and explain for you, and if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer. Couple of things is like City Hall electric bill. Most all electric bills have gone up. I've been moving money around within budgets, but that's a very small budget, so I needed money for that. Waste connections. I truly believe that over the years we've always budgeted the same amount, and I believe we've had new houses built within the city and new people on trash, and we've never increased that. And now we're going to be looking into the next budget year, not this one, but the one coming beyond that. They'll be renewing our contract, so there may be time for increase on trash as bad as we hate to do that, but I'm having to cover those costs. I'm having to cover a few salary costs that we're running short. The capital improvements budget, we had some invoicing that came through to finalize the gateway sign, and having to cover that. And basically, after I go through all the expenditures and I find these things that we've got to try to fix with your all's help, because we can't do that within the line or the budget line item. I'll look to the revenues to find what we've exceeded our expectations on this past year, and that was property tax and business tax. So I used funds from those to give me an allowance to increase those expenditures. The other thing is the ARPA budget line items. You all have passed resolutions, and we have done budget amendments to make purchases all year long with ARPA money. We had a little bit of extra money in a couple of line items after the expenses were done. I want to move that money. I'm doing this in transparency. I want to move that money back to the ARPA bank account so that you all can know that that money didn't get spent and it went back to where it needed. And then Public Works has trucks ordered, and it's going to be borderline on whether they get here June 30th. So I would rather us move that money back and turn around, if it takes it in July, just to do another budget amendment to move it again so that it's within the budget year. So that's what that's all about. And like I said, I'll be glad to answer questions. As far as the water department, the only change I had there is where they had an insurance recovery, and we're just giving the money back to the water department because they were spending that for repairs and new equipment. So, and that's all I got.
Yes, Mr. Bowley.
Just to expand on that, we're talking about funds that are rolling back and going through the many things we have to go through this time of the fiscal year. If you remember, we talked, just a reminder to you all, we talked about the proceeds from the bond issue that we did a couple of years ago. We allocated money for several projects that we've been able to do, and that's been great. We do have some money left over from that. If you remember, we have earmarked that money to help go toward the STP project that'll be coming up in the fall for Ladd Boulevard. So those funds, we don't have a final dollar amount, but $300,000 unspent will be rolling back into the fund balance, and that money will not be appropriated for anything until we find out exactly what this project's going to cost. Those funds will go to that. If there's money left over, then that's something that you all can consider at that point. But for our purposes, those remaining bond proceed funds are frozen. So.
Okay. Any questions on the budget amendments?
No.
Okay. Number 16 is continuing discussion of codes violations at 500 North Kentucky Street. Mr. Brown.
Yes, we voted to rescind the action that we had taken on this previously, but we've got to instruct our new attorney to start back up again. I think the chief has been working on this for 2 years, I know. We don't need to let this drop, because I get more calls about this particular piece of property. Bear in mind that we are in the lawsuit with a piece of property directly behind this. So if we're gonna clean one end of the street up, we need to clean the other end up.
And we have, yeah, and, you know, that's another one of those things we kind of fell between attorneys.
Yeah.
So, you know, we will have to proceed with Andrew. I know I'm not putting Mr. Kofor on the spot, but since he's sitting here, I know that this is an address that you're intimately familiar with, that you and Chief Washington, we've worked on this for some time. Would you mind kind of just giving council an overview of what the process, now that we're kind of starting back on this, will be?
Yeah, we'll have to send him new notices of violation, let those time periods run, and then be able to file a suit.
Okay.
So we'll send him a notice of violation. If he doesn't take care of it within that set amount of time, I think that's 15 days, then we send him the second notice. He's got 15 more days. If he doesn't do it, then we can file a suit and go on.
Okay.
And we got a file about that
No,
big
I'm
with
sure.
enough pictures and everything, but we don't have to go back and look at it anymore.
The status of his business license, did he ever get business license before it went in?
I don't
I don't keep up with business.
I don't know that. Do
Don't
you
look
have
at
the
me.
ability to pull that
Why
up?
not?
I'm sure we could pull that up. It might take a minute, but
I just remember the very last time was that we found out he didn't even have a license to do business there.
to my knowledge, he hadn't gotten one since then, but I don't want to say that for a fact, because I don't know, but
Paying taxes though.
yeah. So, you know, our ultimate goal, if he doesn't respond to the notices, will be to bring this back to you to pursue in Chancery Court. So,
Yeah.
Is he sleeping there?
I don't know. Chief, do you have any insight onto that? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, most times, yeah. And it's as bad or worse on the inside than it is on the outside, so.
Okay,
A lot.
right. It goes back to
2015.
2015. All right.
Any other discussion? Wait on Michelle to look it up.
If y'all wanna move on, it'll take me a minute to do them.
Okay, that's fine. 17 is discussion of application for the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency Boating Infrastructure Grant. Ms. Wright.
Yes, sir. I'll be brief on this because it's nothing that I'm gonna try to bring to a vote on our regular meeting this month. It'll be more for next month. This is a grant that TWRA, through the federal government, a boating infrastructure grant. And basically all the requirements for this grant is that the whatever you build, which is boat slips, would have to be at least 26 feet in length for a 26-foot boat or beyond, and be open to the public. So no closed gate, no punch number. It's completely open to the public. They can't stay for more than 10 days. But what we are looking into is there's 2 tiers. We're looking into just the Tier 1 grant, which is a guaranteed grant. It's not competitive. You basically apply for it, and you'll be permitted to use the grant. It is for $200,000. There is a match, so they will give you $200,000, but we've got to put in $60,000, I think. What I'm bringing to you tonight is to give you a month, if you're open to this, to think about a location for this.
You talking about transient docks?
Transient docks, yes. I don't know what, for $260,000, what we could get built, but basically I'm looking for ideas on location because we have so many and so many places that could be useful at. So if you all want to start thinking about that, we'll put it back on the July budget. I just didn't want to hit you with it and vote on Tuesday and say, let's decide. It takes much more planning than that. But we do have to kind of get on it because the grant opportunity is getting ready to open, and I want all that, I would like for all that to be in place before we go after it.
Well, and from some emails that I've seen this week, it takes at least 100 days to get a permit.
Well, the permit is not the issue. They will in order to get the grant, you don't have to have the permit in
Right,
place.
right, that's
So-
what I'm saying. Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, we can discuss that later.
All right, thank you.
All right, item 18 is a discussion of entering into an interlocal cooperation agreement between Roane County and City of Kingston for planning services. I think we voted not long ago to go ahead and do this. This is just the official agreement between the parties.
Correct. We did vote in practice to do this. Since that time, we've received the interlocal agreement. This came from the county attorney. It's been reviewed by the city attorney, and it is ready for your consideration.
Does anyone have any questions on the agreement? Okay. 19, discussion to reschedule the city council work session. I think we ought to just do it July 4th at the park.
I'm not taking minutes.
Do you have any suggestions?
Cancel it.
Cancel it?
Oh, we-
We could. I mean, yeah, we.
do
Yeah.
what?
Do
Do
everything-
everything for, the workshop evening? Is that
No.
what we're saying?
Workshop's what we're canceling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do,
okay.
just have the one meeting in
Just have
July.
one meeting council.
Oh, well, okay.
That's fine.
It's totally your call.
Cancel it then.
So on a regular meeting night,
We'll have a lot more discussion than we normally would do.
okay,
But all
so,
the discussions that are going place taking place now will happen on the council.
okay, I
meeting
just wanted to make sure.
Be like the old timey days.
night. Old timey days. Oh Lord, those are good ones. All right, that's the end of the agenda. One thing that we have, it was up here, is a beer permit that I'd like to get added to the beer board. We've already approved a beer permit for this lady, and just moving locations.
Yes.
So that's all it is. It's already been vetted by the police and the state and everybody else. So we just want to make sure we get that added on the agenda. And now I'll go around and see if anyone's got anything. Miss Wright, do you have anything to have to talk about?
No, basically, I just wanted to give some accolades to our city employees. Over the past couple of months, there has been tremendous movement, and I know not everybody sees it all the time, but I just wanted to point it out. If anybody has been able to see it, the new awnings are up on the parks and, on the community center. That looks great. The pool liner is, a big improvement, pickleball courts, and of course, all the help they did with the St. Jude's fishing tournament over the weekend, along with the police and fire. Also, Public Works, the new striping through the city looks great. And specifically, I wanted to point out a situation that happened with TDOT and the replacing the guardrails along the dike. Because of their proactiveness, before TDOT was able to start on the lake side of that guardrail, they were able to reach out to them and get those guardrails moved closer to the road in order to plan for potentially widening that walkway in the future. So I really appreciate that, and of course the water department and Kevin and all their crew putting in all the new sewer lines. I just want to say I'm really proud of the city and all the hard work that's been put in. And that's it.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, good job, Stephanie. We need to schedule a budget. Are we gonna have our hearing before?
We will have our public hearing before the council meeting tonight.
Make sure we do that. And then just a reminder, and you'll get this reminder from me every month until December. We have put off the policy on the water and sewer hookups. Thank you.
Mr. Gwynn, do you have anything? Welcome to your first meeting on city council.
Thank you. Stephanie did a good job.
Mr. Childs, do you have anything? Mr. Redwood, do you have anything? Mr. Bowling?
First of all, thank you very much for saying that. I know our employees appreciate it. They do a wonderful job, and we're lucky to have such a great team working on behalf of this city. I'm honored to be just a small part of that. I just want to let you know a couple of things. We have obviously several big projects going on. Just wanted to give you a little overview. Had a little bit of movement. One on the STP project that we were talking about earlier for Ladd Boulevard. We have been in a period of utility coordination where basically they have to send letters to every utility within 50 miles of here to make sure that this project isn't an issue for them, and of course it's not. So that period has about expired, so we'll soon be moving into the next phase on that, and we're looking forward to that. Still looking at late September, early October to actually be have the work done, with the goal of having this project completely closed out by November. The ARC project for the expansion of Ladd Park, as you may remember, our engineering firm quit on us. So we had to drop back and punt on that. We did the procurement, went through the procurement process. We did get a response from a firm, from Ardura, the firm that we use on several other things. We were glad to have them respond, and we're in the process of setting up an initial meeting with them to get them on board. So hopefully we'll have that project moving soon. And our long-standing now, 3-year build planning grant that we've been
It'll be 3 years this September.
that we've been stuck in place on. We're hoping that we're really close to finally getting a notice to proceed on that. So a lot of these things going, they take time. The more federal the money is, the more red tape you have to try to peel back. But we're working on it. Just want to give you a little update on those.
I had something, but I listened to Stephanie talk, and it's just got me on. I can't remember. I cannot remember what it. I thought remember. I'll remind you. No, it wasn't splash pad either. Mr. Hamilton, do you have anything?
I just want to say thank y'all for the kind words, and we're very thankful for everything that y'all do for us.
Nickelback, go ahead.
Just one more thing real quick, and I appreciate Councilman Wright actually reminded me of this today. The 14th, is it the 14th and 15th? Or is it 15th, 16th for the 14th and 15th of this month? MTAS is putting on a free virtual workshop summarizing a lot of the changes that were in the recent legislative session. A lot of things were done, a lot that have direct impact on us. I know that some of us have already registered for that. If any of you are interested in doing that, you can either sign up online, or we're happy to get that taken care of for you.
Okay.
But would encourage anybody interested to
Yeah,
be a
you
part of
get
that.
2 utility hours.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
Yeah. And
Really, you get to
it's
sign
only
yourself
2
up.
hours. And it's important information because
Do we know what time of day?
I think it's 8:30 to 11:30.
I think that's right. It was,
Maybe it's 8:30, 10:30. I can't remember.
Okay.
but they really have to sign up themselves because they have to make
Yeah.
their own Kate account. I can't do that for them.
If you need help with that, Kelly can take care of it. Yes, Michelle, do you have anything?
Okay. Unless they're under a different alias, I'm not on the license.
Okay.
And the other thing is, you care if I tell them what we're planning in July?
8:30 to 11:30.
Okay, so my staff and I are planning to do something, and I've been working with Kevin, that we've never done before for the water department. We are going to do a customer appreciation July 14th because bills are due the 15th, and that 14th will be a very high traffic day. Kevin's getting involved. We have used some unused funds that we have this year to order some door prizes and have a drawing, and we're also going around and buying $20 gift certificates from local businesses so that it generates those businesses. So there'll be like over a dozen items in the drawing, and we're gonna set up a canopy outside. We're gonna have candy. Everybody gets a what do you call the can openers, but it's shaped like a water drop with our logo. So, but we just thought we would do that because other utilities have done customer appreciation. We've never done that, so we're going to get that in the June water bill. And every business we get a gift certificate from, we're going to give them a flyer where they can hang that up or something, and we're going to try to publicize that with our
When will that be?
on July 14th on a Friday.
Okay.
And y'all are welcome to.
yeah, it should be a heavy traffic day,
Mhm.
and we'll be out there thanking our customers. So if any of you want to join us, we'd love to have you out. So.
Is that all you got? Mr. Brown?
Just forgot about this while ago, we're giving all these acclimates and stuff. I called the city manager today, had a complaint about speeders out here in front, and he's got with the chief, and I really appreciate, I noticed the other day, we had our flashing sign, and tonight when I came in, we had the other radar flashing sign. So the complaint came from, they couldn't see coming out of the subdivision. And then the other day, that when we brought up last month about the problem out at Cherokee with Offense Club and Traffic, the chief and Tim and I and Kelly, we all met here at City Hall, worked out a plan that we think is gonna work for next year. The season's over this year. And Councilman was there, I forgot. But just let you know, report back that all of that is in the works and they did a great job, and hopefully we'll keep somebody from getting hurt. Thank you. I promise I won't ask anything else.
Ms. Jackson, do you have anything?
Not a thing.
All right, I remember what it was now. When we talked about TDOT, I'll be going to Nashville on the 14th to have a meeting with TDOT about water and sewer lines across the bridge. So just let you know about that.
I'll
So-
cheer you on.
I'll be able to report back that night of the meeting. All right. Anything else? This meeting's adjourned.
Yeah, those guardrails weren't high enough.
Is that June 14th?